Hi, my name's Camille Varlack. I'm the lead organizer with the George Wiley Center. And I wanted to start off today with a moment of silence for everyone that couldn't be here today because they're in the hospital, for all the people that we've lost over the years due to medical conditions that were amplified because they were shut off. So I want us to spend a moment and think about the people that we've lost and why we're here today. This lawsuit is about holding National Grid and the state accountable for their failure to follow the law and for endangering the health and safety of most vulnerable Rhode Islanders. Thanks to the Rhode Island Center for Justice, we've been able to have a collaboration with the George Wiley Center and come to this critical point. For years, the George Wiley Center has organized Rhode Islanders against shutoffs of gas and electric utility service to households who struggle to pay their bills. While the consequences of shutoff are devastating for many, we know that no one is at more risk of harm from shutoff than medically vulnerable customers. National Grid has repeatedly shut off electric and gas utility service to low-income, medically vulnerable households in violation of federal and state law. The Division of Public Utilities and Carriers has failed to enforce legal protections against shutoff for seriously ill and disabled consumers. Our experience is that the Rhode Island Division of Public Utilities routinely gives permission for National Grid to terminate utility services to medically vulnerable households in violation of Rhode Island laws and regulations. Seriously ill people, even those dependent on electric power oxygen machines, are shut off, regardless of risk to their health. Insulin-dependent diabetics who rely on refrigeration, people who use electronic nebulizers and other electronic devices that help people with medical conditions such as heart conditions. These actions have caused severe hardship for those struggling to pay their bills, resulting in emergency medical treatment and hospitalization for some, creating additional economic burden for utility customers and often at the taxpayer's expense. When ultimately taxpayers pay for additional emergency room visits and avoidable hospital stays, we can no longer afford the human and financial consequences of these unlawful utility terminations of those with medical conditions and the disabled. We are here to say that it's time to end this preventable public health crisis that is causing suffering for thousands of Rhode Islanders. We are here to call to an end to this dangerous dismissal of utility customers' rights by the division and by National Grid. We request immediate relief to prevent termination of utility service to medically vulnerable households who are at risk of being shut off, and we demand a restoration of service for those who have already been shut off with medical conditions. It's time to stop this unnecessary crisis that disrespects the rights of utility customers with medical protections. Well, what's unique this year is that we have a partnership with the Rhode Island Center for Justice. So we've been able to work collaboratively and have these courageous plaintiffs that are standing up for their families and for others that have faced this for far too long. So you're right, this has gone on for way too long, and we're trying to change that. And we're very hopeful that we will get justice, and we're simply asking for the rules that are on the books to be practiced. They're there to protect people, and that's simply what we're asking, is for our Division of Public Utilities to follow the law. Every day we talk to people who are shocked when they're shut off. When you get your bill from National Grid, there's a list of protections there, and for most folks who don't need them, it looks like they are strong. What we're finding is that We need to make sure, this is an action to make sure that those rules are enforced, that they're practiced, that the illegal violations of those rules stop.